Welcome to the Retirement DNA podcast. I'm Aaron Johnson, and we believe you deserve financial advice based on your best interest. In our podcast, we discuss all aspects of retirement planning. Today, we want to talk a little bit about two different topics. The first is, how can you diversify out of a large, concentrated positions with big capital gains, or maybe you've got several positions with large capital gains. And the second is, if you've got cash on the sideline that's really meant for safety, and maybe you've just been laddering CDs for years and years because that's what you've been told, we might have an alternative for you, especially with today's rates. Today's podcast isn't going to be a long one, but it will give you some idea of different strategies that we employ with non-qualified brokerage accounts. And then also we've been getting a lot of questions recently about what to do with cash that's just kind of sitting on the sideline for emergencies. So topic number one, how do we diversify out of those large positions? And maybe you find yourself in the fortunate position of having large gains in one company, or maybe you have large gains in several different companies. And it is a fortunate position because you've got a lot of gains there. But now it needs to be treated carefully. So how do you diversify those concentrated holdings in a tax-efficient manner, right? So maybe you work for a public company and you've been taking advantage of your company's stock purchase plan for the last 25 to 40 years. Or maybe you have just accumulated through savings and contributing to brokerage accounts. Maybe you've saved up a large non-IRA brokerage account and you've just held on to some good companies, and years have gone by and they've done real well. And now you have a lot of gains. But if you do sell, now you're going to have a large capital gain tax bill. And we've seen several clients, and I've mentioned them before on previous podcasts, where they might have a brokerage account, a non-IRA account that might have $1.5 million in it. And obviously they've done a good job of saving. But of that $1.5 million that they have in there, they've got $900,000 of capital gains. They want to be able to diversify, which wouldn't be a problem if it were an IRA. But because it's a non-qualified account, they want the money out. They need to use it for income, but they're scared of having to pay all the capital gains taxes. So are there any strategies that we could use to diversify assets and not pay all of that money in tax? Yes, there is. Of course there is. But one of those solutions is that we take the stock or that portfolio and we move it over to one of our custodians. And what we can basically do is work with your tax person. We also have software that will allow us to run different scenarios as far as taxes go. And we can basically set up an annual tax budget, right? So how much, based on your tax situation, how much can we realize in capital gains each year before we move you to the next bracket, right? Or what are you willing to pay in taxes each year? So let's just kind of go through an example. So let's say we have someone set up and they've got large gains in their account, and they can realize up to $20,000 of gains without really having to pay a whole lot more in tax. So we can do that, and we set that up over time. That's going to be our realized capital gain budget each year. So let's say this client has $1.5 million. And he's got $200,000 of capital gains in there, or the $900,000 that we've seen. So maybe the first year we're going to sell off $200,000 of that stock. We're going to create a capital gain bill, right, of basically of $20,000. That means we've got $180,000 that we can still diversify into a portfolio of maybe 50 to 75 different stocks. Now, we know not all of those 50 stocks are going to go up, right? Right, because markets happen. So now we start to tax loss harvest, and we take those stocks that have lost some money, sell them, capture the loss, And now that allows us to sell even more stock to offset the losses that we've had. And we just continue to do that. And we just do that. And it may take several years to unwind out of all of those large positions and out of all those large gains. But if we do it this way, we can do it in a tax efficient manner. As I said, it can take years to do, but it can also save thousands and thousands of dollars in taxes. And this is a strategy that we utilize with our non-IRA accounts every single year. When volatility spikes and the market declines, that's actually a really good time to review account holdings to see if there are losses in there that we can then use to offset those that might have had gains, or take advantage of, hey, now we can carry some losses going forward that will allow us to offset a little bit more gains next year. So that's just one of the things that we're always taking a look at. And a lot of people don't want to take a loss on a stock or on a position, and I completely understand that. But also know that there's a purpose behind doing it. We're not just taking the losses. It helps us offset some of those gains. And not everyone is going to hit 100% with their stock picks. So if we can have some that do go down or happen to go down, we can sell that, harvest the loss from it, and use it to offset some of the gains. So the topic number 2 is maybe you've got a large amount of cash sitting in the bank, right? And right now the banks are paying a little bit more than what they used to, but it's still not very much, right? So what are options out there that might give you a decent rate of return, right? Rates at the banks are low, they're coming up, but obviously they're still very low. The average 5-year CD rate across the nation is just 1.56. And it used to be that people would go out and ladder CDs, right? Also, you remember the days when people would go shopping around to all these different banks and credit unions to find the best CD rates for them. Well, now, with a national average of 1.56 for a 5-year CD rate, there just aren't a lot of options out there. And actually, with where gas prices are now, you're going to spend more in gas driving around to all these different banks than you're going to make in interest. So the rates have gone up, they're getting better, but they're still not great. So as of the recording today, you can actually do a 2-year MYGA, MYGA, which stands for Multi-Year Guaranteed Annuity. And this isn't an annuity that's a long-term or that's going to make payments to you, but this is basically a CD that's issued by an insurance company, right? The principal is not guaranteed by the government, but it is guaranteed by the insurance company. The rate is guaranteed for a certain term, just like a CD is as well. But one of the benefits is that the tax is deferred. So it can continue to grow quicker, and you can take more advantage of that compound rate without having to pay taxes until you use the money. So once your initial term is up, you have some options. You can continue on and get a new rate, or you can find a better rate and transfer the money, keep it tax deferred. Another option is you just take the money out, use it, go ladder CDs now. But right now, for deposits that are $80,000 or over, which is fairly high, it's 3.4% for 2 years. So each year you get 3.4% each one of those years. At the end of 2 years, you have all those different options that you can do with those funds. Now, what if you have less than that? So 10,000 up to that 80,000 is now 3.2% for 2 years. And rates on 5-year or even a 4-year are up over 4% right now. That's amazing. And with where rates have gone up just tremendously so far this year. So if you have money in your money markets or CDs that are coming due, this might be a good option for you. Again, it's fairly short term. You don't have to lock it up for a big period of time, but you can actually get a chance to make some decent rate of return on some money that's guaranteed. If you have money that you want to lock up for a longer term, we have some other things that don't have market volatility that are guaranteed. and we can certainly talk to you about those as well. But due to all the changing interest rates in the markets right now, rates on those types of annuities are changing dramatically. It used to be, once or twice a month. Now it's weekly. So give us a phone call. We can give you exactly what the rates are at that point. We can talk to you about even some other options as well. But again, like I told you, today was going to be a short one, but our main goal at the Dwayne Johnson Group and Bridger Financial Services is to make sure that our clients know that they can make it to and through retirement and can spend with confidence during those years. And we want to make sure that they have financial security in any economy and in any market cycle. Thank you for listening to the Retirement DNA podcast today. If you have any questions or you would like to sit down with us for an initial consultation and to see if you're on track to meet your secure retirement, give us a phone call. Our number is 951-244-6702. Again, that's 951-244-6702. If you like what you've heard today, please subscribe to the podcast. Tell your friends and family if you think that they'd benefit from the information. Also, you can go to Dwayne Johnson Group search for Dwayne Johnson Group on YouTube for market updates and other educational videos. And of course, you can always find us on our websites, DwayneJohnsonGroup.com and BridgerFinancialServices.com. Thank you and have a great day.
Investment advisory services offered through Bridger Financial Services, LLC, a registered investment advisor in the state of California. Insurance products and services are offered through Dwayne Johnson Group, LLC, affiliated company. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Any references to protection, safety, or lifetime income generally refer to fixed insurance products, never securities or investments. Insurance guarantees are backed by the financial strength and claims paying abilities of the issuing carrier. This podcast is intended for informational purposes only. It is not intended to be used as the sole basis for financial decisions, nor should it be construed as advice designed to meet the particular needs of an individual situation. Dwayne Johnson Group, LLC is not permitted to offer, and no statement made during the show shall constitute tax or legal advice. Our firm is not affiliated with or endorsed by the U.S. government or any governmental agency. The information and opinions contained herein provided by third parties have been obtained from sources believed to be reliable, but accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed by Dwayne Johnson Group, LLC.